In this video, I tackle your childhood nostalgia to the ground and rub its face in the mud as I corrupt the McDonald's you grew up in. We're going old school. I think the glory days of McDonald's, when it was really becoming ubiquitous, there's just this iconography that is kind of fun, that we're really excited about the idea of turning dark, and we're doing it with some help. Now this video is actually a collab with Anthony from over at Ace of Clay, and when we were brainstorming about what we could do that would be really epic, Anthony said he's wanted to do like Ronald McDonald for ages, and then we just had this picture of like, what if we built McDonald's for Anthony's Ronald? Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. We have the evil overlord of McEvils and his employees. We have to do justice for this and build the most messed up McDonald's ever.
So we set about planning, using a whole bunch of references of classic McDonald's, both layout and just sort of visual presentation of the brand's style at the time. We took inspiration and started to rough out a plan for what the visual layout of our restaurant would be. With our aesthetic and layout plan in place, we launched into action. Rob jumping into CAD so we can laser cut the basic floor plan into a structural foundation that we could work from, and Amy setting about finding knickknacks and doll toys that we could use to cut and scrap together the interior components and furnishings of our restaurant. And it turns out that our Ronald is basically Barbie scale, which is perfect because there are quite a lot of different kitchen themed Barbie toys, which if you're trying to make a restaurant, those kitchen things are useful.
It looks like it could be a burger conveyor belt, I don't know.
There's not a lot I love more than improvising with materials we have on hand. Amy did a fantastic job of gathering a whole bunch of components that we could use to create the furnishings and kitchen appliances for the restaurant, and Rob was on hand to laser cut little gap fills and surfaces that we needed to custom build a few other things that needed to be made to spec, such as the bench for the middle of our room, the tables, the corner bench seats, and a few other bits and bobs. Slowly but surely, we were actually really capturing a great layout for an industrial kitchen vibe, with, of course, some aggressive nips and tucks.
All right, we've got the bones of this in place. It's looking awesome. Come tour my McDonald's. We're gonna have a lower ceiling back here. It's gonna start to ramp up here and we'll have menus that I wanna sort of backlight, and we can sort of fill out that back ceiling and then use this to sort of do a top thing with light or something. So there's these sort of squared booth seats in the classic McDonald's at least that we're gonna try and replicate. We need to do the classic McDonald's tiles and white brick walls and tiles in the kitchen.
So it was time for a quick tangent visit to the hardware store to get further distracted by things that I could use to make things with. I love shops that you can buy things to make things with.
All right, I've gone on a shopping spree and I think we have everything we need to take this project all the way to the finish. Now this is gonna be incredibly useful for the walls and the floor. This is foam core. I can peel off one layer and just have the foam and carve in the bricks and the tiles rather than manually cut everything up into little pieces and then texture the whole thing very quickly. Amy sanded all the pieces. We can cover those in a base spray paint and make a nice classic McDonald's family-friendly restaurant.
So I set about cutting the foam core boards to the proper sizes for the floors and walls of the room, while Amy started putting a darker base tone on all of our kitchen appliances that we could then silverize for a stainless steel finish. Then came the satisfying step of peeling off one side of the paper layer of the foam core board until it became really unsatisfying and frustrating because it wouldn't peel off. Now, some of the later boards did a lot smoother, but these black floor ones didn't, which made for a lot of scrappy paper bits that I ended up giving up on and leaving in the center, but that ended up serving as a happy accident, which you'll see when we get to the painting later. But in the meantime, the reason I was peeling back all that paper layer was to get to the foam within, so I could indent and carve the shape and scale of the floor tiles, and also later the wall bricks and textures.
All right, that was tedious as hell, and as you can see, it's a bit rough around the edges, but I just had a glorious moment because I thought the white was gonna be exactly the same, and it peeled off beautifully. So I've saved all of them for you. You ready? Check this out. Oh no, it's already broken. I've jinxed it. No, no. Oh, let me show you something really satisfying. Pop that down there. Look at that. This is so cool. All right, so we've got our blocking. Now we've just got to add texture and bring it to life. So I'm gonna do the other floor. Amy's gonna get started on our brick walls, do tiles in the kitchen. We're gonna start putting it all together.
When you actually get up to these more broad texture-based steps that cover a large section of the project, it really makes things happen very, very quickly and is really satisfying. Carving the foam in place, it was then a matter of Mod Podge base coating so that we could apply spray paints and then eventually dry brush the colors on all of our wall surfaces, and then of course applying washes that we pulled back to create the depth that we wanted. With a dry brush on top for a final little bit of sharp contrast, these surfaces came together quick and totally transformed the project.
Here's what comes next. Rob, what I want to do, we're going to cut holes in here so we can reach inside, because then that turns this into one big tunnel that we can fit a light in, slide it in to the middle where there's going to be cut out a generic curvy looking M. Okay, I can't beat around the bush anymore. It's a McDonald's M.
Should we contact our lawyers?
I don't want to speak dial. I need to make it very clear that we are producing a parody of a McDonald's restaurant. Parody. Definition, a humorous or exaggerated imitation. An imitation of a style with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect, which is protected by fair use, internationally and in perpetuity. Did that cover it? Parody. Amy's working on the furniture. She has even, last night, without being asked to, sculpted these hamburgers for the chairs. My next lighting project is the ceiling. So, as you can see, we've got a backlight here for the kitchen area. Then this middle light, I've created this housing which has a reflector because in theory, that'll bounce the light. Oh, that's pretty good. We're gonna do a nice, clean, family-friendly, classic McDonald's restaurant, and then we're gonna mess it up. Come on, let's go.
This is where I start to catch myself repeating the phrase, "This is where things really come to life," or "This is the most satisfying step." Oh my God, I love projects like this because you move things along so fast and everything is so fun because it all feels transformative. In this case in particular, we're really polishing things up. I've done the foundational work and gluing things into place, and in particular putting in the lighting effects is absolutely monumental and makes this awesome. Next, of course, we've started to move from broader parts of the project to more detail-oriented pieces, texturing and feathering, lighting and shading on our different furniture and signs and feature pieces for the restaurant. Our parody was really coming together, but it was going to be starting off as a piece of fan art for a genuine representation of a classic McDonald's restaurant.
That's so good! So we have the acrylic sort of surface and a simple baking paper diffuser. I built this. These will all slot in here. Oh my God, how good is that? This is gonna be one of the coolest things we've ever made.
And now we're getting a little more into the depths of details, hiding some light leaks in some of our ceiling panels, coloring some of our furniture into a more detailed level, putting these final pieces in place with the last steps to bringing our restaurant to life.
Now we've got an incredible foundation and we've got these, I'm gonna say somewhat contrasting aesthetic characters in there. We need to make this scene suit the Ronald and the workers that we have. You know what? Before we do anything irresponsible, let's just enjoy this together. I'm sorry to say the fun and innocence cannot last any longer because now it's time for the real reason we built McDonald's, and I can reveal to you what Anthony made. And it's inspiring. Obviously you saw it in the thumbnail, but you haven't seen it in all of its glory up until now. But let's move on to the finishing stage of this piece, bringing it together to the tone of our Ronald here.
Let me just remind you all that this is a parody and a piece of fan fiction of something we all know and love, and a lot of us have actually experienced in the golden era. But gold is now fading and tarnished, and what was once brought to life is now decaying and falling apart. Ronald has gone mad with power, and those who enter this domain will never leave. While I have genuinely enjoyed every step of this process, I do have to say there is a special place in my heart for the grime step. There's something deeply dark and satisfying about simply applying washes and little flicks of grit and detail. This is the realm where chaos reigns supreme, does all the heavy lifting, and completely transforms your project from one that was bright, hopeful, and optimistic into one with a very dark history and story behind it. So buckle up as we go on this unsettling journey into the chaosifying of something beloved and familiar. And don't worry, I fully expect you're gonna lose your appetite by the end of this ride. Oh dear, dear McDonald's, how you have fallen from grace and sanity.
What a delightful romp this has been. Delightful is relative to, what sort of things you're delighted by. Huge thank you to Anthony for making this masterpiece. It was so fun to bring this whole scene to life. So if you want to see how he made this, link in the description, and subscribe while you're there. He makes awesome stuff, horrific and otherwise.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to hit like. Otherwise, I'll turn you from looking like this guy into this guy. I don't even know why I bother anymore. This isn't even a door! What the fuck?